Shalom, everyone. This is Dave from Universal Truth of Mankind. I am your host, and we are starting a new series called Kabbalah 301. The reason this is being started is because many of you probably don't know is that I have a time of sharing and meeting with some very good friends of mine. And we all agreed that there are things that we need to start sharing with you, the community. Um, this is a group of individuals that get together and we touch on everything, whether it's physical, spiritual, psychological, from head to toe type thing. So we touch on medicines, we touch on holistic things, we touch on energetic existence, physical existence, metaphysical existence, and also soul existence. And we try to take all of this and put this together. Well, that's what we're going to be talking about. This is going to be a sharing opportunity. Deep sharing is what we're going to do here. Now, I had to give you a little introduction to this particular episode that we're going to be doing for the next 5 weeks. This one plus four more is an individual, a very good friend of mine, who has joined us many times in this sharing group. I had a stroke. And I have not been able to get with him for the last few months because his stroke was so bad that he lost the ability to speak and to communicate. However, it's not that he wasn't able to communicate. It's that when he had his stroke, he was only able to communicate in Hebrew. Now, this man who's not brought up in the Hebrew, when I talk of Hebrew, I'm talking about the biblical Hebrew, not modern Hebrew. He had he had the stroke that stopped his ability to speak English. That is his primary and only language. And he would scan, read the Zohar, both in Aramaic and in English. And he would also do the same with the Torah. Um, he, as a result, he went to the doctors after his stroke, and they thought he was taking drugs because they couldn't understand him. Fortunately, his wife understood what he was trying to say and very quickly realized that he was speaking Hebrew. Now, as a result of all this, he had some wonderful insights. And that's what this video is about, sharing his insights. Please watch, enjoy, and we're going to be doing this for four more videos beyond this one. They're going to all be about 20 minutes long. So enjoy, take care, and have a great day. Okay, we're recording, so go ahead, Tom.
Oh, the English language and quantum mechanics. The English language to me was like the old the physical realm, but the quantum mechanics are moved by a set of different rules which challenges the physical realm, but the letters are actually dancing in the realm of quanta. And the everything in the Torah is not is points to things that are being have been discovered and are being discovered even today in science and in physics. And the letters are absolutely dancing on a different realm, and to gear our physical realm up with this cosmic dance of the letters will actually create the transformations within our hearts and our lives and give us a shalom, peace of settledness to the essence and root of our being. I just kind of going with things here, guys.
Well, that's good. I recently learned, I mean, I kind of knew this, but I didn't quite actualize. It's funny, when I discovered it, it was like I already knew this. It was just inside me waiting to come out.
Yes.
And what I learned is that um, how do I say this? How do I say this? The When we take a look at our lives, we can't look at the present.
Yes. Yeah.
We have to look at the beginning and we have to look at the end. And when we look at the beginning and the end, we realize we're just in the process of becoming.
Hmm. Hmm.
We're here, we're going to return to it at the end. So, we don't have to feel bad that, oh, I didn't accomplish that, or why didn't I think of that, or how bad am I that to do this, or oh, I was evil then when I did that, or whatever. You don't have to beat yourself up because it's like throwing a rock into a pond. It disrupts everything, but it will return. And unfortunately, you are part of that disruption. You get carried away at that disruption. You're also part of the cause of the disruption. But at some time, it will all flatten out and resume its original state. And that's what I've learned to view, how to learn to view things differently. And once I started doing that, then I realized we are what we make ourselves, period. Whether it's a disease or whether it's, handicap, which I like my one son who has autistic spectrum. He says, no, I'm fine. Everyone else has the handicap. So I've seen it, but we have to become these dancing letters, I guess is what I'm getting to.
Hmm.
Wow, that is awesome. I'm so glad.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey, but
Mm.
uh, yeah, uh, all depends on how you look at it. Everything natural would seem to speak differently, but once again, on the quantum level, the Copenhagen experiment is actually delineating well, is it a particle or is it a wave?
Right.
You broke up. Is it a part what?
Is it a particle or is it a wave? The Copenhagen experiment.
Yeah.
You're familiar with that, Ross?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It when we when I'm anchored in the letters, it it reveals or the light of Ensof in ways that magically define my inner being. The dance and the it all depends, I mean, we've been given this. I have learned my been given this ability to look at to not look at what has been happening on this level of stroke, but it is actually a graduation into the great cosmic dance of the letters, which are part of everything. It straightens things out, it really does. And no, well, no bouncing from this thing or to thing or from this
So,
ideology to that ideology, but it anchors a person into reality.
so you could say that creation truly was spoken into existence.
Absolutely, and it still continues to exist because of the energy of that fantastic.
So,
Oh boy.
so you could say that the universe was danced into existence.
Yes, in geometric formulas. When I see the subject of a word now, I look at the word and I see that you got to know what each and every letter in a word is actually saying to the overall concept or subject that is being delineated in a word. And by gum, there's so many, it's been missing they dance, and they're like an electrical circuit with transformers and transducers and reflective ability, tav, resistance, dalet. I mean, they just are reflecting and creating form in such a wonderful way, in a unique way, as the or the light of Ein Sof is dancing in the letters and creating such beautiful forms, beautiful forms. We ain't seen nothing yet. It's just amazing. Well, you know all of this, you guys.
Well, we know all of it, but the way you describe it and the point of perspective you're coming from is like giving me a more fascinating, fuller picture of it. You know, my goal in life is to collect perspectives, really what it comes down to. But you're putting a perspective into it that's more like root oriented versus the branches. You know, it's like, okay, look at all these plants. They're
Mhm.
wonderful, aren't they? All you see is the plants, and you think, oh, what a good crop I have and all that. But no one realizes that, hey, you know, the hours and hours I toiled to perfect the soil to grow those plants is forgotten, is not like part of the picture. You know, it's like you're going to the root, and I'm seeing, I'm like having visions in my mind. I'm seeing like parts of what you're seeing, not completely, but I definitely want to learn more. You're gonna have to teach me this, Tom, when you get better. I mean, I gotta, I need more input. I was Johnny Five, more input.
You have taught me, and Ross, and you and Ross have taught me more than you can imagine. It led me into the direction of being able to come home to these, to what was imparted to me and vision. And I am so grateful. So, no, anything I can do to help. I've got people calling me. My wife got another new job, and she's helping uh, individual through 9 businesses and creating a structure. And he called me and said, "What is the Hebrew word for fire?" Well, I knew it's Ish and Isha. And I was able to explain through the analogy of the tree of life, right brain, left brain, and Sheen traveling on that particular path, and the fire to produce the da'at in the center. And he was just flabbergasted because he was fishing for a name, fire, and but it's amazing, just people call and ask questions. I have a friend raised this individual, and he is really asking questions. I'm trying to direct him out from underneath some of the false ideologies of Christianity and even some of the rituals of Judaism, and a lot of that stuff into just, the letters bypass all of these dang divisions. They bypass all it, and it's so simple, all right before us and right before our eyes and hidden in plain sight. Um, Everything formed by this stuff. And well, anyways, I got carried away, but
No, that's okay. I don't mind. In fact, I've been studying something that I'd like to share with you all.
yeah,
That make me realize that what you're talking about is really verifying this, although at a deeper level, it's definitely verifying it. And that is, remember we used to talk about the word ger,
yeah,
and we know
yeah.
ger means is translated or commentary, stranger. And it always bothered me because I would read the word and I felt like I was misunderstanding the word, even though I would stay true to what my understanding was. It was like up here was saying, no, you're right. Down here is not right. And I was going through that. And then one day I kind of sat down and I said, well, Gare is really talking about reasoning. It's not talking about intuition. And I'm using, English words here. And so I said, okay. So I started reading about internality. Hold on. Ringing.
I'm going to get a glass of water, but I can hear you.
Anyway, so I started working with internality and externality, learning about it. I'm going straight to the very, very basics. And I said, when I read the Torah, I can think at a physical level, action level, but I also have to think of it at a spiritual level. And I said, well, what is a stranger? And we say, well, from a physical level, it can be somebody who, like an Egyptian who comes in the land. Although it uses that as an example, it's not talking about the Egyptian. I realize that now. And I said, okay, so it's not a stranger per se, like a foreigner. And I said, well, I had to view this differently now. I had to take this internality, externality approach. And I said, okay, what's the externality? And I said, okay, externality is definitely the spiritual approach. And I said, okay, so let's put that aside for a moment and let's look at the externality. Externality is what we do. And we all know that God doesn't care the results of your actions. He only cares about the intent of the heart. So if your intention is do right, but it comes out wrong, yeah, you may owe for some damages and stuff like that, but God looks at you as being a righteous person, even though the action is not correct. So you have to separate those two, which really does away with Christianity right there. It also does away with even conversion. Why convert to anything?
Yep.
But yeah,
Thank you. Thank you.
then you have there's more Ross. So we put that aside. So now let's take a look again at externality. Externality is the world. Externality is the nations. Externality is you and I as individuals. But when we go into internality, we're all connected, we're all related. So if I hurt somebody, I hurt myself. They hurt themselves, they hurt me. They commit suicide, that hurts me. They have a disease, that hurts me, and so on and so forth. So because we're part of each other. And internality is the true Israel, not externality.
Yep.
I can be circumcised. I can look like an Orthodox Jew. I can walk around, do all 613 commandments perfectly. And yet I don't have the intention of heart. I'm nothing. So I realize Ger is talking about reasoning or humbling to reasoning. That's the way I kind of look at it. I don't know if that's the correct way to look at it, but that's where I'm at this point, where I'm realizing that a ger is somebody who's humbling themselves towards reasoning, not humbling themselves towards intuition, which is a higher order of thought. So when it says a stranger amongst you, it's not talking about a foreigner. It's talking about a physical neighbor who is an Israelite who has no internality towards God, no love towards God, has not submitted themselves towards God. So we're talking about if a stranger from another land comes in and he humbles himself before God and he wants that intuitive connection between himself and the creator, loves the creator, he's Israel. More so than the person who's externally Israel. So the whole idea of the ger, and I'll even say Noahide at this point, it's really, it's a buffer. So you stay there. We don't want you near us. Well, who's the real stranger? It's not the ger Noahide. It's the Jew trying to keep them away. They're the stranger. Because they don't want to have jealousy that you have a connection to creator they don't have. So I've been balancing this internality, externality relationship. And this is a very common concept taught in more deeper detail with Kabbalists. So, and students at Kabbalah just recently learned that. But these these teachers of this can look at a Rebbe and go, no, not interested. An Orthodox Jew, no, not interested. Conservative Jew, no, not interested. A Reformed Jew, yeah, you got the right idea. You know, they see past the external. They're looking at the internal. So I'm learning to do that more so now. So that would be even in Hebrew. Don't look at the external letters, look at the internals of it. And that's like what you're doing. You're looking at the organs of it.
Yeah. I wrote down in my notes that the consciousness is a consciousness is materializing in the materializing of energy and material in the material realm, consciousness. And so if it's a state of consciousness, Israel is a state of consciousness which applies to all people, not
So you
some.
go from the upper thought, the thought of creation, the thought of the creator, through the intuitive mind to the conscious mind. You're trying to manifest what's up here, though it's not complete yet. Your consciousness, that's a manifestation. Is that correct? Am I thinking?
A conscious materialization of a state of energy
Right,
is what
right.
I'm
And
trying.
that state of energy ultimately collects. In other words, if you're diseased and you can change your consciousness to a higher order, then that disease will go away. I mean, what keeps us who we are from year to year, day to day, decade to decade? It's our consciousness.
Yeah, yeah,
We're just a manifestation of our consciousness. So if we're diseased up here, we're going to be diseased down here. If we're diseased down here, we change what's up here and we leave the diseases behind down here. It's yeah, okay. I'm sorry, I went a step beyond what you were talking about, more on the physical side, but okay.
yeah.